Arsenal and footballing community. Weekly surgery is back on the Sunday afternoon. Hashtag episode 38. The Arsenal review in exclusive. The Arsenal Brothers episode. But my magnificent people, before we get into it, let's smash the weekly surgery intro. We'll be back soon, people. Welcome back to Albert JTV. The countdown is on to the next installment of Weekly Surgery. Hashtag episode 38. The Arsenal review is incoming. A weekly surgery exclusive titled The Arsenal Brothers episode. Let's get down to business. Yes, Arsenal community. Welcome back to Weekly Surgery. It's been a while, man. Hashtag episode 38, the Arsenal Brothers episode. Now, people are probably wondering, why have I titled with Arsenal Brothers? Now, let me give you the quick story. Obviously, I have a little WhatsApp group, which I do have. You know, we don't talk every single day because I didn't want the WhatsApp group chat like that. So I called it the Arsenal Brothers. And here we are. But unfortunately, we're podcasting people. You can't always get everybody on. But I'm glad that these guys managed to free up their time to come on to the channel. But people, the usual obligatories, smash the like button, subscribe to Albert JTV. Because believe it or not, Arsenal community, there's plenty a lot to talk about, even with the season over. But hopefully someone, let me bring him back in. Someone's missing. There he is. There he is. So people, like I said, obligatory, smash the like button, subscribe to Albert JTV. But let's get into the weekly episode special, the Arsenal Brothers episode. Big up to James, Johnson, Jimmy Changa, RJ Wills, Ray Kassim, and King Kesh is back in the building on Albert JTV. Look at my brothers, man. Amazing specimens on as you're watching the screen. Where do I start the stream, people? Oh, of course, your host, Albert JTV, not forgetting. So, Kesh, how are you, man? It's been a while. It's been too long, brother. How you been, man? So beautiful.
Sorry. Yeah, I've been all right, man. Just been here taking it easy, man. Art breaks, Arsenal all over again, you know what I mean?
Nah, it's good to get you, man. It's been too long, man. I know you've been busy. You've been busy going to Thailand, enjoyed yourself, making up for COVID and parties and good food and the rest of it. But Kesh, you look younger than the last time I saw you, so that is definitely a good thing, man. And big up, RJ. Welcome back, brother, man. Long time, man. How you been, bro?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good. It's nice to be back on the streaming platform. Thanks for inviting me on. Good to be on with the bros. And yeah, man, everything's good in life, apart from the red and white. But it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Not going to be negative.
Yeah, no, of course. We've got plenty to talk about. Great to get you guys on, man. This is an episode I want to do for a while. But before we get into it, and big up the dream himself. Hashtag the man from Hastings. Ray Kassim, the dreamer. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. All good. So I've just had to change location. You saw me previously in the car. My phone literally just said the phone is too hot in temperature, and I have to let it to cool down. Wait for it to cool down to be able to use it. So I've run out of the car. I've sat around the corner. Hopefully, the background noise, the wind isn't too bad. If it is, give me a shout. But yeah, I'm here, and just tired of this season. But yeah, it's what it is. I've got you guys to have therapy with, so it's all good.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's great. Like I said, great to get you on, man. This is a proud stream for me, man, to get the Arsenal Brothers on. We're gonna get straight into it, and I'm gonna kick off with Kesh, but plenty of things I want to talk about, but we're gonna start with the Henry comments. Now, for anybody that's been living under a rock, our legend himself, Thierry Henry, appeared on the overlap. I'm gonna get it on screen and play it just in case people didn't see it, but I'm gonna play it anyway, regardless. And we're gonna play his comments. Let me get it on the screen, people. I'm gonna play it, bring it in.
What do you think of the current Arsenal situation of sort of 6 years now, 5-6 years without a trophy, but they're building and they're sort of getting better each time?
That's a tall building now. The building is tall. There's a lot of the building is really tall. It's, you know, that's big. So I always talk to Wright about it. Look, I'm not going to pretend I'm an Arsenal fan more than him or a guy that was born and raised as an Arsenal fan. But I understand at the very beginning, you arrive. By the way, we won the cup 2020. Yeah? Yeah. 3 years. And Roy can tell you, you also coach, you're in a situation at the beginning where it's not your team. You need at the very least 3 to 4 transfer windows to be able to change everything that you want to change. Get rid of the guys that are on a good contract, that don't want to leave, that maybe don't like the way you play, or you don't like the way they play. So it takes time. Whether we finish 8th, we were not great. You have to give a manager time to be able to implement what he wants to do. So 3 years. Now, the last 3 years, we've been in a situation also where we should at least bring a cup, whatever it is, or a final. Man United played 5 finals in the last 5 years. The United that everyone loves at played 5 finals. In the last 3 years of building that building, you didn't reach a final. So I do understand when people ask the question, surely you should have compete for a trophy, being in the final. Or this year we don't compete with Liverpool. I don't know what people think, but we didn't compete, not one.
So Kesh, coming to you, mate. I'll give you a little summarize before I bring you in. So, sort of, those are the legend himself speaking, Thierry Henry, making some pretty, I think, on the point assessment of Mikel and where the club maybe should be in terms of trophies. I have to say, he's had pushback before Henry when he's spoken about Arsenal, so that wasn't really a surprise to me. But to say I was a little bit surprised by some of the pushback he got and the opinion that he got, it seems to me a little bit, Kesh, where if you say anything resembling any type of assessment or criticism of Mikel Arteta, it seems to be one of the biggest issues I've ever seen, probably in my lifetime as an Arsenal fan, when we've had managers. So what did you make of Henry's comments and sort of the reaction from some of our Arsenal fan base, if that's content creators or people on social media?
I think he was spot on. There's a few points he made that I didn't really agree with, but I think all in all, he was spot on in what he says. At the end of the day, you've got to deliver something to give yourself time, and you haven't done so. In terms of like the striker comment, I felt it was a bit unjust, I'll say, because when you put it that way, you're basically saying Arsenal's been clueless that they've needed a striker, but we've seen us being going for strikers. I think the question should be rephrased as, why hasn't Arsenal been able to get their target across the line? Which is something we've seen for the last 3 years, where we don't get that target across the line. We end up getting someone who may not have wanted in the first place. Like you saw last year, we ended up getting Sterling, for instance. You know what I mean? So, obviously, I don't really want to go into Edu or anything like that, but
yeah.
I think he's done a marvelous job in terms of the off-field situations, but in terms of getting a player across the line, I think he's been shit at it. I'll be honest with you. But going back to what Henry said, I think he's spot on. Mikel has to be held accountable for not actually delivering a cup at least. At least if you win a cup now, it breeds the winning mentality, which is something that he said he would. It's something that he pointed out when he first got it. But I'll say a bit more on what he said, yeah. And my thing is, what I'm seeing from the Mikel that first came here, I'm seeing a watered down version, and it's something that I saw this club did to Wenger, and it's something I'm seeing them repeating now. This isn't the same mentality monster that we thought we was getting. I know we had a bad 2 years at the start, but I actually felt the energy of the man trying to change things in the building. I actually felt there was a man that actually believed he could go on and win. But now I'm seeing a watered down version. I'm seeing a loser, for instance. He's a good coach, but I'm seeing a loser.
No, Kesh, well said, man. RJ, I want to touch off. I want to sort of come to RJ with this. Big up Scott for arriving. Scott, glad to get you on, man. The Arsenal Brothers episode exclusive. Look at my people. Look at them. Love them, man. RJ, come to you. So I'm going to go off the back of what Kesh was saying, but big up Sophie Nicolau from the Hybrid Squad. She did a stream 2 weeks ago, RJ. It was titled, "Is Mikel Arteta untouchable? Has he become the Arsenal evangelist? Are we too judgmental?" And I said to Sophie, you need to get royalties on this because you started something where a lot of podcasters, and I'm going to say, it's me saying this now in terms of the people that are vehemently behind Mikel. Let me be clear, vehemently behind him, is that I think it irritated them a little bit. Hence the reason why I saw some of the pushback and some of the opinions about right off the back of Sophie's podcast. RJ, coming to you, mate. As long as you've been Arsenal fans, you've all supported Arsenal at different times, depending on our age. But I don't think I was on Tom's show a few years ago, Tom Canton, about probably 2 years ago at best, maybe 2.5 years ago, off the top of my head. And I can't remember the exact words I use, even though I remember a lot what I say, is that the kind of the backing Mikel is getting, I liken it a little bit to at the time that the sort of the love that some sections of the fan base have for Mesut Ozil. And Tom looked quite surprised when I said that. I said, Tom, you've been on this platform enough. You see the change, and I actually think it's got worse. So touch off the back of Sophie's podcast and what you've seen in terms of the almost the adulation for the manager and there being any criticism of him, which seems to be poo-pooed or you don't support the club as a fan. What do you make of that? He's frozen. Oh no, RJ, man, it's your moment. You froze, man. Oh my God. I'm gonna bring in Scott because you probably heard what I said. What's your sort of thoughts? Even if you have seen Sophie's podcast, what's your thoughts in terms of the feeling for Mikel from sections of the fans?
Mate, I've heard the term cult-like being banded around.
Yeah,
I feel like it is cult-like, man. I feel like there are large presences out there of fans who are following the manager, not the club. And look, I understand we're supporters, yeah. Our job is to support, but sometimes the best support you can give someone is to be honest with them. And to be honest with the club at the moment, we've got to a certain point, and I said this last time we were on, I feel like Mikel has taken us to a good place. Like, we've got the building blocks, we've got some really good players. Now the owners are starting to put their hands in their pockets, but he can't get us over the line, man. He can't get us over the line. So for me, I can't see how people who call themselves Arsenal fans are turning on people like Thierry Henry, who
a legend. Yeah.
He's someone who you'd understand there being a cult-like following for. But Mikel Arteta, I just don't get it. And I think it's more about people not wanting to back down. These people went all in on Mikel Arteta early on. Lots of big accounts, lots of people who have now got him with the club. And it's going to cost them too much to be honest now. So it's easier to just pretend and continue not being called a fake fan or a Spurs fan. It's too many people all in on the manager, and I'm all out now. I'm the opposite.
Scott, great points. I might bring you back in, Scott, if I get the time. But James, coming in, I want to bring you in, James. Sort of off the back of Scott, and I'll give you a little segue into what I'm about to say. I went on to the Hybrid Squad. You guys might have seen this. I've spoken about this in the group chat. When we played Brighton away, we drew 1-1 with the whole Saliba penalty thing and the handball. And that was the first time publicly I kind of said, you know what? Whether your team challenging for the league, challenging for European places, trying to starve off relegation, irrespective of what you think about the players at the club, sometimes they need to hear a new voice. They may need to hear new tactics. And me and Sophie copped a lot of flack in the chat that day for that. They said that he's been disrespectful to the manager. That was just one comment, by the way. So even us just saying the mere conversation of just maybe, we can't squeeze any more juice out of the towel kind of thing. What's your thoughts, James, sort of in terms of Mikel and sort of the stance where some of the fans are with the manager?
I think you guys have all summed it up brilliantly so far. I do believe there is a cult-like following for the guy. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think there are people, like Scott said, that are more, they come across to me as Mikel Arteta fans and not Arsenal fans. And this goes back to the horrible times that we used to have towards the end of Arsene Wenger's tenure, where people were going, it's Arsenal FC, not Arsene FC. And, you know, it's 1886, not 1996. And I feel to myself at the moment, yeah, I don't go to the games as much as other people do. But from what I'm seeing, not just on a social media level, but also from what people are telling me that go there. I've got a few friends that are like stewards and what have you there. And they're saying to me that what was more of a 70-30 in terms of 70% pro Arteta, 30% people having doubts, or, you know, some straight out, I don't want this guy at my club anymore. They're like, that's not even at 60-40 now. They really do believe that's more of a 50-50. And they think that it's really going to ramp up. And I think it's going to. But the stuff just to come back on with Thierry Henry.
Yeah, go on, man.
Some of the things that I've seen on Twitter that people have said about this guy. First of all, one, I try and look at these people's profiles, and Ray will back me up. When you hide behind an avi of a footballer, you're a bit, you know, 9 times out of 10, when you've got an avatar of a footballer as your picture, you're going to put some dumb tweets.
Yeah.
You're going to put some dumb tweets out. You're not going to be the most logical person.
Yeah, he's jealous. He's jealous of Daniel Ek. I'm sorry, the consortium of Daniel Ek. He's jealous of Mikel. I'm like, what are we really
Albert,
doing?
I'm like, you've never seen the guy play. I'm sorry. You're about 14, 15 years old. You never saw this guy play. That, for me, Arsenal, from born in 91 and what have you, there is only a few times I can count on one hand where I genuinely thought we had the best player in the world in their position. And that was Ashley Cole at left back, Patrick Vieira in the midfield, Thierry Henry up front. We had the 3 best players in the world. And that's what you got to try and convey to these young people. Because I'm like, how you play your ultimate team and you get all these gold cards or platinum cards or whatever, and you're like, oh, look, I've got the best player. I'm like, yeah, Arsenal back in the day had a platinum left back, platinum CDM, platinum centre forward. And that platinum centre forward, you're slagging him off because you love a manager. It's insane. It's insane. I mean, they're like, oh, it's so vitriolic. I'm like, look at his tone and look at the way he said it. How is any of that abusive or nasty? You know, he's not raising his voice. He's very calm. He's very collected. And he's comparing us, like he says. He went, everyone's laughing at Man United. He went, you're getting stuff done. I mean, if you really want to pre it, everyone laughed their head off at Ten Hag. He's won more countries in this country than Arteta did.
Yeah, that's the thing. James, well said, man. I want to bring in Ray. Ray, we talk all the time. We talk enough about our opinions about Mikel and where the club's going, kind of thing. We have different opinions, but I don't think it's really a case of I've ever come out and said to you, I want the manager sacked. There'd have to be some serious circumstances where I just think 5 stroke going on 6 years now. It's all coming to you. I want to sort of keep on this, but I want to move on to another debate that's been going on in terms of Sesko and Gyökeres. It's almost turned into a court case. Like Sesko versus Gyökeres, the defense versus the prosecution. I'm seeing grown men on social media lose their minds. Like Benjamin Tesco. I mean, come on, let's not be futile about this. He's not even an Arsenal player yet. We can't be going down that route about somebody who's, I don't know too many people, Ray, who are the finished article at 21. There are some very, very few exceptions I've seen in my lifetime when it comes to football. So let's just, Arsenal guys, I get it. Content creators, I get it. The views, engagement, just calm it down a little bit, man. We're getting a bit too overboard. So, Ray, tackle this how you want to, whether you want to start from the striker point of view or give us your comments about your views about Mikel. Go ahead.
Yeah,
man.
I'll go in quite quick on Mikel because I do think I've got a different sort of opinion to you guys. I'm not a Arteta lover or cult, worshipper or whatever. But I just think the team's unfinished, and I don't know if it's his fault or if it's the recruitment team and the higher up. That's how I see it. For me to fully judge him, we need a complete team, and we just don't have it for whatever reason, and I can't quite put my finger on why that is. This season, he's really let me down, the manager. I think the previous seasons, we were building to be competitive, but we weren't quite there. I felt like this season was the season that we really need to take advantage. Not strengthening adequately enough in the summer, I think, is the ultimate reason why we fell so short. Doing anything in January to try and give us a boost. I mean, you see Kvaratskhelia play for PSG last night. I mean, what a footballer he is, and how we weren't in the conversation for him is criminal in my opinion. But like I say, this season he hasn't covered himself in any glory really, Mikel. We've been unlucky. Yes, we've had injuries. Yes, we've had some shocking refereeing decisions. Yes, but all teams, or most teams, really have that go against them. It's just how you deal with it, and really, we just don't have the squad, in my opinion, to really tackle this season. So that's why we've come up short. That's why we've come up empty-handed once again. And yeah, I think in an ideal world, the manager would want to bring in all of these players, but for whatever reason, he's hamstrung, and for that reason alone, I can't really say I want him in or out either way, because just how I see it, I just don't think he's got the tools that he needs to win the big ones. As for the FA Cup and the League Cup, yeah, that's really poor. That record needs to be addressed.
It's a horrible record.
But again, mate, if we don't have the squads to be able to compete in these competitions and then play in the Premier League 3 days later or Champions League or whatever, we're going to really struggle. And yeah, I'm really just hoping, and it is just hope, that we get that right this summer, because yeah, we've got a big summer ahead, lads. We need to bring in minimum 5 to 6 players, I would say minimum, and it's not going to be cheap. So based on how we've performed in the transfer market, I don't have much hope. I know we've got Berta in now, and obviously what his record at Atletico Madrid was second to none. So hopefully he can translate that over to us. But yeah, I just think that this season basically has just come down to the summer window in January, more than Mikel. But like I say, in the domestic cups, yeah, I'm very disappointed with him.
Can I just say something on what Ray was saying?
Yes, come in, go on.
Yeah, I know it's a bit cliche when we talk about the sum of money that's been spent. Yeah. Like whenever I hear it get mentioned, I think football fans are either way behind the times or they're just delusional in the way football's going right now. Like, we see the PSG team. They signed Portuguese fella up top. Didn't work.
Yeah.
They signed Kolo Muani. Hasn't worked. And they're moving them on. There's far too many times when Arsenal buy a player and it doesn't work, yeah, and we don't move on from them. You see the likes of Chelsea, they fell upwards. They'll continue signing it, and when I say fell upwards, what I mean by that is they will continue to do the necessary to get over the line. With Arsenal, we will just stick with a player and hope it goes well. We do the bare minimum. For instance, we had the keeper that's where we're not chasing him anymore. Eddie basically did it. We didn't want to activate his release clause last summer. Yeah? On the basis that we're going to sign Neto on loan and we're going to get a winger in. We didn't get a winger in, and we also fumbled the keeper. A keeper that's basically, I think, in my eyes, is going to be a monster keeper. He's going to be the next Timo Courtois. Now you have to look at it and think to yourself, well, if you didn't get Nico over the line, and your premises was that you're saving that 20 mil release clause to put towards Nico, why did you not go back in and get this keeper? We haven't got any proactive people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think what the owners have done, and this is why I think Mikel's failed, they're resting everything on his stewardship based on what he's seen behind Man City whilst he was there. They're looking to him as the leading light when it shouldn't be that way. It should be Mikel and someone who's headstrong running the ship, not Mikel trying to bring Man City's blueprint and carry it through.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. You look at Campus; he's a visionary director of footballer.
Yeah.
You look at when he went to the likes of Monaco. Look at the players he brought in. Went to Lille. Look at the players he brought in. Gone to PSG. He's done what they've been trying to do for years. There's no one visionary at Arsenal, and that's why it's not working. You look at Liverpool,
Yeah.
they just won the title, yeah, and they added more creativity. Last year, we was one or 2 points off. Look who we brought in. This season, the team that needs the most creative addition is not planning to bring any creativity in. They're not bringing anyone central in. And for me, if we go into this win this season without adding a number 8, and we're going to rest our laurels on the likes of Max Dahlman, who's, 15?
Young, yeah.
It tells you everything you need to know. I was having a discussion in a GC the other day. It was 2 days ago, and I say to people, how long will it be before we're out the top 4 again? And will these owners have the capacity to now do this, the same thing they've done when Arsenal went broke, to get back to this point? I don't think they will have the capacity to do it. I think our number could be up, because you see the likes of City, you see the likes of Chelsea, and like I said, they fell upwards. What's going to happen when the likes of Newcastle revenue then grows, and then they start feeling upwards? They start buying players, and if that player don't work, they keep spending. Football's changed. You got to keep spending, and I'm sick of hearing this thing where, oh, but he bought Kai Havertz, so he shouldn't get any more money. No. If Kai Havertz don't work, you push him out of the club, and you go again. You fell upwards.
Yeah, that's it, mate. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go on, Ray.
I was just going to say that the difference between us and Man City and Chelsea is that we can spend as much money on players as they can, but like Kesh says, we're hamstrung by the players we bring in. If they have a dud or it doesn't work, it's fine. I mean, they'll take a hit. I mean, listen, these teams I've mentioned have had financial fair play or whatever, which is the biggest joke in football, in my opinion. They've had charges and fines and transfer bans, but like Kesh said, they've fallen upwards. And that's because if they buy a player that doesn't work, they just bring in the next guy. Whereas, we're constantly waiting for this player. We're constantly, it's like planting a seed and waiting for the plant to grow. But, we want to see the plant. We want to see the trees in bloom. We don't want to be bloody watering our acorns or whatever. So this is it. We're just hamstrung by the players that we bring in, and like I say, it's not necessarily how much money we spend. It's when they're through the door, can we then, if they don't work, can we move them on and bring in the next guy? It just seems to take forever, transfer negotiations and whatever with us. So
Yeah.
And
Go on.
when I said that's why I think Mikel's watered down. I don't know if you remember his first interview. Yeah, he said something like, "Players have a cycle." He said, "Players have a cycle, and when a player has reached their capacity at a club, you've got to quickly refresh and move them on. If you don't understand, I know a lot of people, we have our preferences. We have this thing where we say a manager should basically make do and get the most out of their squad, which I believe in. I totally believe in. But as an owner, you have to acknowledge what sort of manager you've hired. If that's not what you want, then get rid of him and get a manager who's gonna do the utmost and get the most out of the team. It's like having a friend, yeah, and this friend keeps getting you into trouble, yeah, but you still continue with this friend, but you complain. Get rid of him and get a manager you think is gonna get the most out of this team. Mikel, you have to understand. We say, you know, when you say kids are like a sponge, they learn off you from a young age. What Mikel's learned is everything off Pep. Pep's like that. If the player don't work, he's gonna move them on. So you're trying to fit a profile of a manager to the profile you're not trying to create at the club. Make a decision. You either back it and do the utmost, or you say, you know what, you're now in your 5th year, you haven't won. We're gonna move on from you. Simple as.
Kesh, let me question. No, well said. Big up question, James. People smash it like James. Let me bring you in quickly, and I'm going to bring in Scott. One thing I tend to hear a lot, definitely in the last 18 months, maybe 2 years. Like I think almost sometimes what Mikel says, how can I put this? He almost brainwashes the Arsenal fans. So I always hear this term, Kesh, James, Scott, Ray, profile of player, like it's only exclusive to Arsenal. I always say it, sometimes it's by the eye test, you know. So why is it that when we get linked with certain players, oh, but it's the XG, it's not as good as that player, we can't get them in. Why are we doing this as fans? I get it, we're in a very digital age and YouTube channels and whatever. And so we'll bring you in, James. I want to touch on Yorkerez and Benjamin and Sesko. But Kesh and Ray make some good points. I always keep hearing every single season it's a big window. I've heard that for about 4 years. And before it was like, oh, you know what? We're not in the Champions League. But we're going to be in the Champions League for a 3rd year in a row now. So I must feel like sections of our fans, I'm sorry, are running out of excuses as to why we don't purchase the right players or this player costs too much. James, come here. I'm going to talk about you, Victor Yorkerez and Sesko, what your feelings about the striker situation, and touch off the back of what Ray and Kesh were saying about in terms of how we move as a club with transfers. Come in, bro.
Yeah. So going on to the last point, and then I'll work my way back round to the
go on, bro.
the Goikarez one. For me, again, I'm not as harsh on the Cronkies as other people have been. I think since they've had full control, they've actually spent way more than what other people, you know, this is the most we've ever spent in this club's history.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with everybody else. We've done it quite badly. And that's something that we need to improve on and work on. But the thing for me is, as soon as Mikel Arteta won that FA Cup, now, I don't have a problem the fact that he went from being a coach to a manager. I know a lot of people did. They were like, that's way too quick. To me, I'm like, that's just a title. I'm like, coach, manager, come on, it's sort of the same thing to me. I know some people go, it's not the same thing, but I'm like, it sort of is to me. But he got given, Albert, full autonomy of a football club, basically coming in. And and when I say full autonomy, I mean full autonomy. So he's like Lundberg with the academy. You got to go. You out. Players. Okay, some of these players, God knows, all of us here didn't want them. We could all see the Socrateses, the Ozils and all that. Yeah, you know, even Aubameyang at the time. Okay, we might lose out on goals despite our face, but this guy's being an absolute, you know, the guy's being a knob. Get him, got to go. And I'm like, where he's got this full autonomy and where he's got these obsessions, and the main one for me is he's developed an obsession about stature and about this dual winning. And and like Kesh said earlier,
Possession obsession FC, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we were 2 points away last season from winning the league. We were not winning the league last season because we weren't dominating midfield and we were crap in defence. We've had the best defence now for what? Two seasons on the spin.
Yeah.
Our goalkeeper has won the Golden Glove 2 seasons on the spin. The defence is fine, mate. It's your attacking third, like you said. And for me, it goes back to, and this is where I'm so pinning. I know I'm pinning a lot of hope on Berta, but from what I see and how, you know, what you're hearing, I'm like, I think this guy's gonna, you know. I remember David Dean with Arsene Wenger, right? Arsene Wenger at the time, 2000, 2001, just before we did the double, he wanted Jerzy Dudek. And I believe Jerzy Dudek at the time was playing for Feyenoord. He was pumping and pumping. I want Jerzy Dudek. I want Jerzy Dudek. David Dean was like, our English quota is too low. You're getting Richard Wright. And Wenger was like, oh, apparently like, he did kick off, and he went, no. He said, listen, quota's too low. You're getting Richard Wright. And Richard Wright played every game in our FA Cup campaign that year, apart from the final. He should have played in the final, but apparently he didn't, because if he did, we'd have owed Ipswich an extra bit of money for him playing in the final. So Wenger was like, nah, put Seaman back in. But yeah, so this is what, you know, I reckon in terms of the two strikers. Now, Albert, you know me and you've wanted Gyökeres for about 2 seasons, yeah?
December 2023.
Exactly.
December 2023. I'll put my claim in, man. There's receipts for that, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. And if Mikel Arteta's dug his heels in, because he's wanted Sesko, and let's be right, all last summer he wanted this guy, but he was like, no, I need to stay 1 more year to get more experienced in the Bundesliga, and also he couldn't see where he'd get minutes over Kai Havertz. Well, obviously now, I think he can see he'll probably get more minutes now than he would have last season. And also, you know, I think he's ready to go. Do you know what? I'll back myself. I mean, all the people that are around this guy, they're telling they're telling big people within the journalism community and this sort of community that they believe this guy is going to be the best centre forward in the world. I'm all for it. For me, if you weren't going to buy Gyökeres, you had to buy Sesko, because you would just look completely stupid. I'm like, if either of these go by and we don't sign either,
good Lord,
we're fucked in the nicest possible way. Because I'm like, who else is out there? I'm like, you can't go and spring Ollie Watkins on us now and go, that's your big nah. And I like Ollie Watkins. Don't get me wrong, I like Ollie Watkins. But I'm like, you can't just spring him on us now if you muck up one of these two. You have to get one of these two in. Obviously, I've got a preference towards Gyökeres, but I'm not so visceral towards Sesko as other people are. I think this guy, I mean, we've played Mikel Moreno, who hasn't played centre forward since he was 9 years old.
This is unbelievable what we're doing.
He scored, what, 12, 13 goals playing up front for us in all comps? So if you don't think a 21-year-old, 6'5" centre forward is going to get more than 12 to 13, then to me you're sniffing glue or paint, or you're on the Mickeys or something. Because I'm like, we've had a person who played that position since he was 9, score 13, and you don't think. I mean, this is what are you hearing with Gyökeres? Oh yeah, but he plays in a rubbish league. I'm like, mate.
Don't get me started.
We've had a guy that weren't even a very good midfielder for us move up front and score 12 or 13, and you're telling me the main gunman in Europe ain't going to get more than 12 to 13 goals with Odegaard, Saka hopefully being Declan.
No, James, remember, it's the profile of player. With some of the Arsenal fans will tell you, you got to go by that.
Odegaard and Declan Rice were in the top 10 players in the Premier League for entries into the final third. If you do not think that Gyökeres feeding off them two's entries into that final third per se, and he's not going to bag, then yeah, I don't know. I can't help you, Albert.
James, well said, man. People, like I said, mash up the like button. I will put this out on the audio, by the way, and on Spotify and Apple, wherever you get your download podcast. Borgie, I'm gonna come to you, man, about Gyökeres and Sesko. I'm gonna move on to some other business I want to talk about in regards to Arsenal. But as I said, I kind of, there was nothing. Kesh, Ray, James, you've spoken to me individually or collectively in our group. I had nothing against Watkins or Tony or any other striker, but for me, there is a snobbery when it comes to players, sections of our fan base. They just do it. It's been happening for years. I liked what I saw with Gyökeres at Coventry. He's done more than very, very well at Sporting Lisbon. I don't care if he played in the local Sunday league or in Portugal or Spain, Italy. You have to start somewhere as a striker. We've had some unbelievable strikers come from abroad and play in this league. Don't sit here and tell me they came with guarantees, because they don't. I've wanted Gyökeres since December 2023, but I was on Potsy's channel, Borgie, about a couple months ago. And I got to the point with the striker talk with Arsenal, and Dan asked me, who do you prefer? I said, at this point, I don't care who Arsenal get. Just address the main issue, because there's no point me crying about your caress from December 2023 and we get Sesko or we get another striker. I said that about Sesko, and I come to you, Scott. What I saw in the Euros, personally speaking, I wasn't overly impressed. But then I said to myself, you know what? Maybe he plays for a better club side than his national side, or vice versa. Or maybe he just had a bad tournament, or maybe he wasn't effective with what we might have seen before. It happens. I don't expect someone to be the finished article at 21. I just don't, particularly in that part of the pitch. So what's your thoughts in terms of the striker argument between grown men on the social media and who you want? Or maybe there's another striker who's thinking of at Arsenal.
I would walk up to Mikel if I had the power. I would say, Mikel, do you want Sesko or do you want Gyökeres? Whichever one he said, I would sign the opposite, because I don't trust him to sign us a striker. We haven't had a striker since Lacazette and Aubameyang. So my trust, zero. In saying that, we have been so starved of a striker for so many years, I would be happy with either. If I had a preference, Gyökeres. But I'm not going to say no to either. I would take a wager with any of you guys, if you wanted to, though, that our starting striker first game will be Kai Havertz. I have no doubt. And thinking of some of the stuff that Ray and Kesh were saying before, part of the reason I think we buy so poorly and is because we sell so poorly. We're an awful selling club. Like, you've got,
yeah, that's one key thing Berta has to do as well. Go on, sorry, go.
Kai Havertz is our highest earner. You're telling me in a team with Saliba, Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice, that our highest earner is Kai Havertz, a guy that Chelsea didn't even want? Then we've got Jesus.
Oh my God.
Who only got minutes because there were injuries. Like, this is such poor management. And I'm not just blaming Mikel for that. I think there's something wrong at the club where guys like that, can end up on them contracts. To me, one of the biggest ways to see if you've signed a good player is how upset are the opposition fans when they lose that player. Chelsea fans were celebrating Kai Havertz going.
There was.
They were celebrating that. So Gabriel Jesus, Man City fans weren't overly worried. But we've got to really, really do some work on this squad. And that's where a lot of the blame has to go on Arteta. We've signed a lot of these players on his watch. Edu's gone. He's off. So for me, if you ask me Sesko, you ask me Gyökeres, just give me either. I just want our team to have a striker because we're a good team. We create. As James said, if we can get Mikel Merino to score so many goals, Gyökeres or Sesko shouldn't have a problem. But God blimey, just get one of them. Just one. I don't care who.
No, well said, Scott. Ray, RJ, can you hear me? Go on. I'm gonna come to you. I'm mute. Go on, we've got RJ back. Go on, RJ. People in the chat. We got RJ. Go on, RJ. I'm gonna bring in Ray. Yeah. I'm gonna bring it. It's that straight Wi-Fi, but I'm telling you, man. No offense, man. But no, I'm gonna come to Ray. But RJ, I want to come off because Kesh and Ray made some good points in terms of like personnel and not getting the right players in. But I talk to Ken all the time, and he talks about Havertz in terms of being a tactical disruptor, and I understand what he means by that because I look at certain positions in our team, and I've complained for so long. Arsenal do not have enough pace in this side. We don't. There's not enough bravery on taking the ball in the half turn and transitioning the ball forward. You are allowed to take a risk. I get it. The manager's got an iron fist in terms of you've seen him on the touchline, Kesh. Everybody. The first time I saw it properly with Mikel, he played Newcastle 2 years ago at home in the Premier League. We drew 0-0. He completely lost it on the touchline. I thought to myself, the players obviously looking at it thinking, this guy's out of control. He's got a bit better, actually, believe it or not, I think, personally, but I don't think it's great. But coming to you, RJ, sort of the personal player, I just think with people like Havertz and Moreno, and people talk about the importance of recruitment this summer, the thing is, we've got players in our side. For me, I'm not saying they're not good. They're not good footballers, but from a speed of attack in terms of transition, I think we've got an issue with some of the personnel in this side. So it's great us talking about bringing in a Berry Eze or a Morgan Gibbs White, for example, or a Rayan Cherky, who I like by the way, and is a cheaper option. But are they going to work in this Arsenal side? And if for you, tactically with Mikel, do you see a lot of improvement since his time at Arsenal?
I think the problem is, I feel like it's been very up and down. From when he started, it was very defensive for obvious reasons because we couldn't defend for shit. Let's be honest with you guys. We were conceding like 51 goals during the Emery era, like back-to-back seasons, if we all can remember. Then he sorted that out, and then if we just fast forward to, I believe was it 21-22 season, the football was great. It was fast, it was furious. You saw the interchanging with Martinelli and Saka, and we even saw Granit doing other things as well, which a lot of people were like, the hell? Oh, so he could do something now. He's not as slow. But I think the problem is, and I keep saying this, I think because the way that season ended, I think it really crushed Mikel Arteta in the sense of, this didn't work. Screwed it up, threw it. And then we saw
mental scars, yes.
Exactly. And then if you look at the season, because I'm thinking the season just gone as last season. So now we look 2 seasons ago where we lost the league on 2 points. You saw how we started. It was all stagnated, putting Havertz in the midfield and that, trying to replace Xhaka, which was anyways, I'm going to skip past that. I'm only going to cuss that. But you saw how rigid and stifled and stiff that was, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and then you saw from January onwards, you saw the change, and it was just like, so why are we not doing that? And then this season was just a complete mess, bringing in like Marino and Calafiori. I mean, Marino did okay in the end, but it was just not loose enough. It wasn't fluid, and that's the football that a lot of us grew up watching Arsenal from. And I think on Mikel Arteta, he had the blueprint in the 21-22 season, but because of the mental scarring, he didn't adapt well to it. I just think that's what we're lacking. We're lacking fluidity, and I don't understand why he's gone away from that. We played our best football under that. So I don't know, man. I just feel like now he's going with these giants in the midfield. Don't get me wrong. I've always called for height and strength because we've had some very technical teams in the past, in the back end of Wenger's era, but we needed strength. Do you know what I mean? We were just getting bullied off the ball a lot, and that's what a lot of people are calling us. Now we don't do that as much, but there's not enough flair in the team. I don't understand what he's doing. I just want to just talk to him and be like, what are you doing? Seriously, we need some flair in the team.
I'm going to try and get access to you to speak to Marge. It's a bit hard though, but I'll try.
Nah, you wouldn't like the things I'd do. I'd be out in 2 seconds. I'd be banned from the Emirates, sadly. But at the end of the day, this is the problem. There's no fluidity, and we're lacking. The transition's just too slow. It's slow. It's boring, and
it is.
Like we don't even see the interchanging anymore. Sorry, I'll just quickly say this. There's no interchanging, and the best example, Ethan Wanyeri. The times he's come on, I think, what is it? I think the PSG game at home, when he come on with 5 minutes to go, was absolutely
it was less than that, but gone, yeah.
As soon as he come on, the direct attack, the direct passing, yes, we missed the opportunity, I think. Was it Martinelli or Trossard skied it over the bar? But regardless of that, you saw how direct that was. And even if we go back to the Champions League final, look, I'm not saying Arteta has to turn into Luis Enrique, but you saw what they were doing. We could do that. We could easily do that. But he chooses not to play with that style, play with that fluidity, and bring in players of that ilk, because we got the stability there. So why don't he just bring in the flair? We got the protection. This is the opposite of what we had with Arsene Wenger in the back end of his years. We had the fluidity and stuff, but the protection we didn't have. So yeah, man, it is frustrating, honestly.
No, big up RJ. Ray, coming to you, mate. Just off the back of what RJ was saying. I mean, I'll say lucky enough. Well, the Real Madrid home game, definitely. But I've gone to some of the games last season, and I have to be honest. I could pick out like the home game against Everton, the home game against Ipswich. The football's been it's been absolutely turgid at times for me. I'm sorry, it's not been enjoyed. I've not enjoyed last season. I said this vocally quite a few times, and I'll continue to say it. I'm not saying we got the divine right to go over and absolutely rip teams to pieces, which we were doing a couple of seasons ago in terms of better attacking football. But I guess my question to you, Ray, it's not just a striker issue at Arsenal. It's not. You just have to look at the makeup of the squad and the team, particularly central areas. Is there any players you can think off the top of your head, or where are you with certain elements of the playing side, particularly in central areas, whether that be the captain, Erdegaard, Thomas Partey potentially staying, Declan Rice, the importance of him? Where do you sit with that, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of names, I'll be honest, I can't really sit here and reel a whole bunch of names off. I don't watch that much European football, so I can't tell you, other than the Champions League, I can't tell you the obvious candidates. I mean, me and James were talking about Patini last night before the stream started, and what a baller he is. But no, I mean, just in relation to the players we need, yeah, I think we just have no speed, do we? Like the guy said, we've just got no speed, no transitions. It's very easy for teams like the Everton game where they just sit there and say, go on, then break us down.
Low blocks.
It's very easy for teams to do that, and we're just too predictable. And so I can't really sit here and tell you names of players that I think will fix that, but we just need to have those players in so that we've got more options, so that we can ask more questions of teams. Yeah, it really is tough. Like I say, I just think that we are just too predictable. We do, and just we can't. What I'm trying to say, we just can't adapt our game enough in certain games to make the difference. I was actually quite a big fan of, I think I'm probably the only one here maybe, but I was quite a big fan of the set pieces initially because we done something different in games when teams made it difficult. We said, okay, we'll get a corner or whatever. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and go through how to take a corner, but obviously there's got to be components of it that all work. The team's got to play their part, and that was good. But as soon as Gabriel is injured and we don't have Saka taking corners from his side and whatever else, it all just started unraveling. And again, it just comes down to the personnel that we have or don't have in this squad, to why we weren't able to really affect games, in my opinion. So yeah, it is on the manager. And I think if you guys was to say to me, well, isn't that Mikel's fault? I'd probably say yes. But at the end of the day, he can only work with what he's got. And
we just need a whole new squad, but we need 5 or 6 new players, and we need to bring them in soon, because what I don't want to see is us chase a striker for 2 months, bring him in finally, and then we've got to get the next guy in. We need these guys in quick and fast.
Kesh, I want to come to you quickly, but I want to get Scott in as well, because I know he's not got long left. But Kesh, one thing I was looking online yesterday, and sometimes I've got to laugh to myself in my dark room. Some of our fan base, I just don't understand. Like, they're talking about the game yesterday, talking about if we had a fully fit squad, we would have won, we'd have beat PSG, what could have been, all this kind of talk. And I'm like, hold on a minute, hold on. Look at the home game against Manchester United in the FA Cup. You go look at that Arsenal lineup on the bench, and then come back and tell me about injuries. Go and look at both semi-final legs against Newcastle in a domestic cup competition semi-final. Where were the injuries then? Arsenal, sections of our fan base, we need to stop doing this. Like, they were just better than us. I get injuries played a part this season. I'm not totally stupid, but to say that, it could have been us yesterday. No, it wasn't. PSG beat us over 2 legs in both games. I don't know whether you thought that game was close, Kesh. Go on, come in, Kesh. Come in, mate. Come in, bro.
It's a funny one for me, yeah, because I don't think, like, I know you just mentioned the Newcastle and the Man United game, but I don't think our Champions League form reflects what we saw domestically. That's one thing I'll say.
Sorry, Kesh. You know why? You know why I purposely bring up the Newcastle one? Because we've got a group of players now that have played with each other now for a good 2-3 years, and we talk about big game mentality and wanting it in the big games and performance. And I was so angry after that, especially after the second leg. Anyway, I just think this is not a novice side anymore. You can't keep making excuses for them not turning up in big games.
For me, I know. I think it was James that mentioned Watkins earlier. And I agree with him in terms of if it was to end up with Watkins, I think it would be a kick in the face, because you can't tell me that you were still in 2 competitions at the start of January. Yeah. You didn't want to sign him then because apparently Aston Villa was saying that they wouldn't let him go for 40, but they'll let him go for 60. But now, because it's dropped to 40 now, you're going to say, yeah, here you go, have Watkins now. I think it's a kick in the face. You should have showed the ambition there. What's 20 mil going to mean to us if we was able to kick on and gain form and gain some points on Liverpool, or Watkins being a difference in that PSG game? It's nothing to us. It wouldn't mean anything to us. Like, Madrid just signed Trent and gave Liverpool 10.7 mil just so they can have him for the Club World Cup. That don't mean anything to them, because if they win it, they're going to be laughing. So I think we lack ambition. And in terms of we could have beat PSG, I think we could have beat PSG if we had shown some ambition in the January window. And this is another thing about Arsenal. There's not enough ambition to win. When we was out of the Champions League, I asked my friend, I said, when we return to the Champions League, is this going to be the same old profits? Profits are coming in. That's all that matters. They broke it down over the Premier League and the UCL rounds we've gone through. We've made just under 300 mil. What does that money mean? It's just profit to these lot. That's all it seems to me. I know. I think it was Scott that said he's not really gonna be onto the owners. I think it starts from the top, because we're in a situation now where fans are saying Mikel needs to go, but Mikel's still here because of them.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it starts from the top. And another thing is the players. It is Mikel's fault. A lot of it is Mikel's fault, but a lot of these players haven't shown up this season. Odegaard's not showing up. He's been missing. Saliba's not been the same Saliba that we've seen
since
the previous 2 seasons, since the World Cup. I think a lot of these players are getting too big for their boots, and it stems from not having enough competition. Saka should have competition. Saliba should have competition. There's far too many players comfortable now. And because they've built this affinity towards us as fans, and there's some fans that still look back to the 2022-23 season where the likes of Nelly, he hit double figures.
Sentiment.
Odegaard, double figures. After that following season, I said, we don't know if this is their true form. This could be a one-off. I've seen one-offs before in the Premier League. I've seen Michu go have a great season.
I've never heard of him again.
It could literally be a one-off. And I think that's where Mikel's gone wrong. That's where, like when I said earlier, these owners have looked at Mikel to be the blueprint. But he needs help as well. He needed help. He's a rookie himself. And if you add someone like a Fergie, those managers, they sniff out frauds. They sniff frauds out. And I'm not saying Nelly's not a good player. I think he's a good player, but he's a limited player. And with the football you want to play, it does not suit him. I know a lot of people say we leave him on an island by himself, but I've played football. If I was in Nelly's shoes and I'm a winger, I literally call myself a winger, I would relish the blueprint that Mikel's put out there in terms of Saka and Odegaard being over that side. They're attracting all the attention. Nelly's then 3-1v1. A proper winger relish that situation because now you've isolated your fullback 1v1. What better situation do you want there? And this is where we need to learn to move on from players.
Yeah,
These players there's a lot of players that have not won anything for us. Why is the sentiment? There's no sentiment there.
Kesh, let me bring in Scott. I know Scott hasn't got long. Sorry, Kesh. Thank you, Kesh. Points, man. Scott, let me bring you in because Kesh touches on a good point in terms of this. What really makes me so angry when I see sections of fan base just dismiss domestic cups because they want to go for the big ones. You can criticize the Europa Conference League as much as you want. I'll leave the social media fans to deal with that. But in terms of a winning culture and a young group of players or youngish group of players getting that winning feeling, that's what we need at Arsenal. But I want to come bring in and quickly talk about Berta. He's not going to get everything done in one window. He's just not. Experienced as he is. But what's your thoughts about in terms of Andrea Berta and addressing key areas of Arsenal's recruitment staff?
Yeah, look, I think he has to get the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, I mean, we've given everyone else the benefit of the doubt. Edu, Arteta, players that we signed. So I think he needs that. I don't think it's fair to completely judge him on this window. Because as Kesh said, the owners are accountable too. Like they've got to back him. They've got to make decisions. If there's a clash between Mikel and Berta, then that they've got to be the one who push a choice. So I'm excited about him coming. I'm glad we've got some experience in the back room, in the office, because we need that. Mikel is still a novice. He's still learning his trade, and we knew what we were getting into when we appointed him as manager. So the more experience, the better. I think we had two novices in Edu and Arteta, and that for me is a recipe for disaster.
And Vinay.
Yeah, that's right. So,
Criminal.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
For that to happen on one of the biggest clubs in world football is crazy. But I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. For me, what I'll judge him on is, do we get a striker? Because we've needed a striker forever, and it hasn't happened under Edu's watch. So it bloody better well happen now. Do we get a striker, and are we able to move some of the deadwood? We've got, Kieran Tierney's going, who I probably would have kept as the backup left back. I think he's a better option than Zinchenko. I think he's a better option than Tomiyasu. I probably would have looked to get rid of them first, but I'll judge him on a striker, and I'll judge him on moving a couple of players out. It seems like the Zubimendi thing's going to happen. I mean, see how we go. We then have 2/3 of Sociedad's midfield. I'm excited to get another player in because we need reinforcements. But yeah, it's not the signing that I'm going to jump up and down over. And I just want to touch on that point you guys were making before about the mental ability of the squad.
Mm-hmm.
My highlight of the season, and it's been a miserable season, like, to be completely honest, I'll normally, and you know this, Albert, our kickoffs down here are midnight is the early game for you, 2 a.m., and then you get one at 4 a.m. I've gone seasons upon seasons where I haven't missed a game. I woke up for all of them. This season, I've been bored and less motivated. I haven't got out of bed at 3 o'clock for them. I haven't done any of the 2 a.m. kickoffs unless it was a big one. The 4 a.m. kickoffs, so. The midnights depends on the match. Like, it's just been, we need something to put a bit of energy in the club. And what did give me energy was the performances against Real Madrid. That was my highlight of the season. I think back, how could we do that but then collapse in the cups? I think we did that against Madrid because there was no pressure. This squad, our manager, whoever it is, buckle under pressure. Real Madrid were expected to beat us. The wider footballing community was saying that they were going to beat us. No pressure on us. What did we do?
Emotional.
We beat them, though.
Yeah.
We knocked them out. Then we come up against a PSG team where we were seen by the wider community as favourites. We'd beaten them earlier. And then what happened? We couldn't get it done. So this team, time and time again, have buckled under pressure.
Mental fragility.
So we need to bring in a couple of winners, and that's where I probably prefer Gyökeres, like someone who's won things, he's won leagues, he's got a bit more experience. Bring him in, but we also need a couple of guys who have won stuff. A couple of guys like who are the leaders in this team, really? I think our best leader is not wearing the captain's armband, and that to me is also a problem in either Gabriel or Rice.
Scott, you know, I posed this question on Space the other day, and I said, "What? How do I say it?
Kesh, you're a good man to go on Space, bro.
What you required to break through to the top 4 or to challenge for the title may not be what's required to see you over the line." And like you said, we failed on numerous occasions. So there's a season where we failed when Tottenham got top 4.
Yep.
We didn't get over the line. We went again the following season. We got into top 4. Now we've gone, 3 seasons? Well, I wouldn't even count this season.
No, definitely not. No.
So the previous 2 seasons, we've challenged.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if there need to be a tweak. 1 or 2, 3 players might need to be sold or maybe reduce their roles to rotation. And then you kind of bring in a few different players to play their role. I think that's what's needed. And like Ray said, we need 5 to 6 new faces because, let's be honest, the wounds and the traumas that these have picked up from failures after failures is going to have a psychological factor going forward.
Yeah.
They're going to need to refresh it. These players, I don't think they can go again in challenge next season if you don't get him some fresh faces.
Kesh, it's interesting because I remember David Hillier, one of our ex-players, was on the Highbury squad. And he said it. He called it at the start of the season. He said, I think Arsenal, James, remember this, I think Arsenal are going to struggle this season in the Premier League. He was right to go again for league. It's hard, man, when you've missed out. And Kesh make a good point. And it does go back to missing out in the top 4. And these players want to get that feeling completely out of their system of being mentally fragile. Because people are going to look at it like that. That's going to hurt a lot of Arsenal fans to hear that. But it's the truth. You know how painful it is, because I want to wrap up quick soon. I want to come to RJ. All you guys on the panel would have seen this. Even Scott 11 hours ahead. I got seeing Palace Trophy Parade. Kesh, you might have been there. I don't know. Newcastle's parade. Tottenham's parade. Even going to play in a Super Cup final. I don't care if they get pummeled. The fact that they're there. Even Aberdeen won a Scottish Cup for the first time in 35 years. And I'm seeing all this stuff, and I'm seeing these sides win trophies and cups, and it fucking pisses me off. I don't see the anger, RJ, in some of our fans because they want to ram down our throats about XG. That's more important to them than Arsenal winning trophies. What are we doing here? Why are you not angry seeing this? But you want to insult us as Arsenal fans. I'm sorry, and silence some of us talking about forward trajectory. Come on, man. What are we doing here? No one's got a God-given right to go and turn up at Wembley or a major final and win that trophy. But come on, what are we doing here? We're not stupid. When you go on holiday, do you stay on the plane forever? The plane needs to stop at some point in order for you to get to a holiday. We have to think like this as fans, man. Arsenal Football Club, RJ, coming to you. They need to give us something. Let us load up the gun. We can't fire any bullets. I dreaded thinking going on any podcast in the last 2 weeks. What am I going to tell them? Honestly, RJ, come in.
I think the only gun that they're giving us is one of them toy ones from the pound shop.
Honestly, mate,
it's sad because back on the trophy thing, I'll quickly say this. It's funny that a lot of fans, from all over the course, want to talk about, they want to diss the Europa League, which we haven't won before. They want to diss the Conference League. Yeah, we won something equivalent to that, but we didn't win that. The FA Cup, we've won that too many times. Let's just care about the Premier League and the Champions League. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit snobbish. We haven't won a trophy since what, lockdown, and we're out here talking about let's get the others, the big ones. When this team can't even get past the semi-final, for crying out loud. One goal in a semi-final in how many seasons?
Yeah, to Henri's point, it wasn't people saying, "Oh, we wouldn't swap our position for Man United's." For you to come out and say that after watching that segment with Henri, there's nothing for me to say to you as a fan. I'm sorry, because if that's what you're going to take for it and say, RJ, come in, mate.
Sorry, Albert, just quick as well. Sorry.
Go on.
The thing for me is, I saw so many people that are like, "Oh yeah, but you're going on about competitions that we're too good to be in."
Oh my God.
What? Yeah. Which I understand to some extent, but at the same point, I'm just like, these are European honours, and they've done them lot down the road have done that before I've seen my team do it. And I'm like, if that don't irk you, I mean, last night PSG, I ain't got really no anger or vitriol towards PSG. Really, they were founded in 1970. They've won one before we have, 1970. And Albert, we've spoke about this, and I feel horrible saying it. I do feel horrible saying it, but the last European trophy that Arsenal won, I don't even know if Ray was born, but the last European trophy that Arsenal won, 2 members of that team are now dead. That's how long ago it was.
Mm-hmm.
Two people in that team have sadly passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, it's too long. It's too long. Our people keep saying about how we are a big club, and we are. We're arguably the biggest club in London, arguably. But I'm like, we got to start owning our fucking size here.
Yeah.
Because, and again, diminishing cups and stuff like that. Again, the League
Wild.
Cup. What's that? 32 years since we've won that.
Yeah. Wenger never
shocking.
won.
That's shocking. I'm like, come on. And again, he hasn't won a trophy with this current group of players.
Mm-hmm.
So not only does he need to win one because it's good for him, but these as a group need to know, yes, lads, right, we've done that. Now let's, like you said about with Chelsea, they've won that Conference League now. They're going to go in there and they're going to spend, we know what Chelsea are like, they're mental. They're going to go for it. Do you not think like Enzo Fernandez, Palmer and all them are like, right, boys, next season, we've done this conference, we're going to go. I'm like, what do we do? Finished second again, didn't we, boys? Oh yeah, it was a kick of the balls, wasn't it? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like you said about the mentality and the motivation. Got to start, this is it now. I'm sick and tired of hearing competing. And that's what I liked about Bert. Berta don't do interviews. But the one that he did do when the first one he did when he first come in, he said, I don't do competing, I do winning. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, that's where I straight away was like, I like the cut of this guy's jip. I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're on one then. I'm like, if that's how you feel, you show me. Because, again, like I said earlier, best defence for 2 seasons, and you went and signed another defensive-esque midfielder and a left back who, let's call it straight. As much as I do like both them players, for all of you that are on here, at Calafiori and Moreno, when did they ever look like a starter for you? Because they never did for me. When did either of them two look like, oh, they're going to take someone's place? I mean, we had a central midfielder in the academy become our starting left back over the 33-year-old left back that we signed. Sorry, £33 million left.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, sorry. So, again, you were 2 points away. You signed 2 players to try and get you over the line, and they weren't even starters. They didn't even improve your starting 11. That's where we've got to panic, because for me, I said it, Albert, I thought it was a crap league. And I stand, but the fact that we still finished second to me
is madness.
Everything that's gone on shows how crap this league was. But I'm like, it's not going to be that next season, because everybody, like Kesh was saying, like RJ was saying, Newcastle are going to go. Chelsea are going to go. Tottenham, we'll see what happens with the manager or whatever. But you don't think they're going to try and spend some money now? They're in the Champions League. They're not going to try and go for a few players. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, you've got to be on it, because everyone else is going to get stronger. And like Kesh said there, we could be in the top. We've gone from competing for title to competing for top 4 again.
Can change very quickly.
It is, yeah. It moves so fast. Football moves so fast. I mean, we talked about Albert. We signed Jesus and Sinchenko, and then within a year we'd move on from both of them. It was like, well, hang on a sec. Then when them two first come in, the lift, and then within a year it was like, nah, we're worse off with them in the side. That was a year, 1 year. But yeah, sorry, RJ, I'll let you. I'll let you get in where you wanted to.
RJ, I'm gonna bring. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a final word from all of you. Keep it short because I'm gonna wrap up. We're an hour and 15 minutes in. This has been a great discussion, man, to get you guys on together because it's not easy. Obviously, we all got lives, man, and bills to pay, and go on some dates sometimes, maybe as well. Go out with the boys or whatever. Have a pint or Ribena in my case. I don't drink, but no, big up people who came in the chat at different points. Love to Borg, you had to go. Scott is 11 hours ahead, people in Australia. So love to the big man, but. Before I get you guys' final thoughts, hope Kesh is still there. I'm going to play a little intro into subscribe to Albert JTV, people. We're back right after the intro. And there you have it. I must mention my main man, James Johnson, has his channel. So people, please do go and subscribe. I'll probably pin it. I'll go and pin it in the comments after I do this show. So, people, please go and subscribe. I might try and grab the handle if I can multitask. You guys have got controls. I think you're all mods, actually. I should have told you that. So maybe you could grab James's channel handle, but I'll try and do it. But yeah, listen, hour and 17 minutes in. RJ, let me come to you, my friend. Sort of final thoughts as we come into another transfer window.
Yes. I'll just quickly say this. I think, because I didn't even get to touch on this. The transfer window, I just need to see players sold and players come in, areas addressed. And this is for a certain section of fans. The Mikel Defense League, as I like to call them, just relax. Okay? People are allowed to have their opinions. All right? You don't need to go, oh, we could have done that. Mikel did this, Mikel did that. People are allowed to have their opinions. It's okay. It's okay. But what I will say that's not will be okay is if Arsenal finish the next season with no silverware, and then what? What have you got to say for yourselves? Simple as that. But yeah, great to be on the show. Sorry I couldn't, with my technical difficulties and stuff. I do apologize. Obviously, I really wanted to chime in and that, but hopefully I could get back on the show in the future, and hopefully technical difficulties will be much better. But I appreciate it, Albert. I appreciate it, boys. Godspeed.
Yeah, no, well said, RJ. Listen, this is an Arsenal Brothers episode, man. So it's exclusive. So, Ray, coming to you, brother, man. Final thoughts, man. Tell us from the ranch that is in Hastings, you're in.
Yeah, man. I just, like a bit like Kesh said. I just want to see us be really proactive in the transfer window. Let's get our business done and let's get it done early. I don't want to see targets being dragged out for weeks and months on end. And let's sort of attack it and try and get him in. And yeah, let's try and get ourselves the best possible start we can have next season. We know that with the Club World Cup and stuff, we've got a few teams that might just be a little bit off it because they'll be playing in that, and then obviously the season effectively starts. So any sort of advantage we can have, we need to just make the most of. But yeah, we had a good discussion with the striking options, and I don't mind either. Prefer Gyökeres, but if we get Šeško, then that's great too. But let's get it done, and let's get it done quickly.
Well said, Ray the Dream Cassim, bruv. Go on, brother. Let me come to James Johnson. James, Jimmy Changa. Talk to him, man. Final thoughts, brother.
Yeah, no, I'd echo the sentiments of everybody else. I think, let's be proactive and let's get what we need to get. I mean, it's 13 hours and 27 minutes since it opened. Where's my Zubamendi on my Twitter? Where's my striker on my 13 hours and 27? Come on.
He's having
27
a
minutes. Hurry up. No, I'm not one of these that are going into an absolute meltdown. But, I'm like, let's be proactive. Let's get what we need to get. And then one thing, Albert, before I go, the one big thing I want to say before I go. This little window now that's open from today until the 11th or the 10th when that Club World Cup starts. No fucking backup goalkeeper. No fucking sitting there on left back hub looking at the defenders. I don't want to see that shit. You buy the attacking play, you buy the forward and the high output winger, and then when the window opens again, that's when you get this goalkeeper and your left back or your centre back, because he's got a defender fetish, so he's buying one. You know he is. Every window he buys one. So he's going to do it again. But if I see any more link to a player that's not an attacking player, I will lose my hair, and I've got a lot of hair to lose. That's all I'm going to say.
Well said, Jimmy Chagger. People, please subscribe to James Johnson's channel. Is it James Johnson Football, is it?
Yeah, it's that simple, man. It took me ages to think the name, but yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah. And of course, last but not least, I call him the king. The king of, is it Crash? You still in Croydon, or you moved to Dubai or Hollywood? Where you living now? Cash, give us the final words, man. Tell us your thoughts, bro.
Listen, all I've got to say is, whatever happens this window will be the final nail in Mikel's coffin.
Yeah, well said.
Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Like everyone says, we need to get these signings in as soon as possible. Get them in early. We've seen the rewards it bears from when we signed the likes of Zinchenko and all of that, and we haven't done that since. You know what I mean? Let's just get the players we need. Let's not show lack of ambition, because my fear right now is we'll get a winger, we'll get a striker, we'll get Zubimendi in. With the likes of Kiwior and Zinchenko probably leave, we'll probably get a left back in, and the likes of Skelly will probably get a few games in midfield. But for me, I think we need a true creator added to all the other signings that we're getting this summer. I don't think we should rely on the likes of Max Dahlman, for instance, who's just turned 15. You know what I mean? The likes of Ethan Nwerny, how you say his name, I don't believe he's a true creator like many fans I've had a discussion with. I think he's more of a forward, personally, for me. I don't think he's got a final eye for a pass. I think he's very much in the mold of a Phil Foden, for instance. I don't want to see him deep trying to play the Odegaard role. I don't think it suits him. So, yeah, let's just do what we need to do. A lot's at stake right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. Big up to my amazing panel. Let me rephrase that. The Arsenal Brothers episode. Episode 38 on Weekly Surgery. Listen, man, the surgery's been closed for a little bit, but it's always going to be open at some point. My final thoughts, mine are quite simple. To one particular player, I would drive to SC25 if I've got the right postcode. Kesh will inform me, and RJ will. And I would walk over hot coals to bring Eberechi Eze to Arsenal. The receipts are there, people, 4 years ago. But yeah, big up to the panel. One more thing before I go, because I have to give a shout out to a certain group of people who actually did bring us silverware. European champions, people, Arsenal women's. They absolutely smashed it. I was there, obviously, on Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, celebrating. I actually don't think anybody gave them a prayer to beat Barcelona. There were some very interesting comments by the Barcelona women before that match, post sort of pre-match. I thought very, very interesting, but amazing feat. And this woman, I call her, what did I call her? Let me see if I can find it. Our Renee, hashtag Sleggers Ball. 7 months, people. She came in, she steadied the ship. She's brought a calmness. She showed how tactically she's brilliant for the final. She put a game plan out there to beat Barcelona. And George Graham would have been proud of 1-0 to the Arsenal. So big up to Renee Sleggers and the Arsenal women for creating history. Only team to win Champions League in the women's game for an English side. Youngest ever female manager to win a Champions League, by the way, as well. Only 36. Absolutely first class. So we did see some silverware. And that's why I definitely had to turn up last Monday just gone. But people, smash the likes. Like I said, this will go out on the audio platform as well. If you are allergic to swearing, then you might want to, plug in your ears at some point during the podcast. But listen, it happens. Arsenal got a lot to do in the summer. Andrea Berta has been a very good appointment. He will need a lot of work to do. Go and ruffle some feathers. Go and get the right personnel in and actually make us a fluid and more attacking team in the final third, because I'm sick of other teams doing it and getting more pleasure out of watching them play than my own flipping club. So that's what I will say. And people, that is Albert J TV, over and out for another weekly surgery. We'll be back to open the surgery, maybe not on a Sunday afternoon, but maybe on a Saturday afternoon or some days in the week. So people, That is Albert JTV over and out.